you guys have been asking me what I think about the whole 72 virgins in heaven thing that Muslim people believe in, and also what I think about some dude, I don't remember who, saying that hellfire is full of women and hellfire is going to have majority women in it. And I want to break these down from a purely mathematical perspective. I'll give my 2 cents after, but let's just do the math first. Let's say that there's 100 men in heaven and each one of them gets 72 virgins. That's 7,200 women and 100 men. So automatically the math on this is just not adding up. There's more women in heaven than men based off of that alone. Now, let's say there's 100 men in hell and twice as much women as that in hell also. That's 100 men and 200 women. 200 women is still way less of a number than 7,200 women. So where did this conclusion come from that hell is going to be filled with way more women than men when men are promised 72 women in heaven? Also, the whole concept of those women being virgins has never sat right with me. You know why? Because they say that jealousy doesn't exist in heaven, right? And that's why a woman will be able to be with her man in heaven even though he has 72 virgins. So if jealousy doesn't exist in heaven, why does virginity exist in heaven? Why would God specify that those women are virgins if jealousy doesn't exist? Because we know the only reason why men care about virginity in the first place is because they're jealous that another man had you before him. So if jealousy doesn't exist, then why wouldn't God just say there's 72 freaks that do the split on the D in heaven waiting for you? Be a good boy on this earth and you'll get to experience that. I don't know. If I was a man, that would be more enticing than the thought of 72 women that their first time is gonna hurt. Like, I think that the virgins is just code word for children. I think it's 72 children that you get to, yeah, I think that's literally what it is, which is sick. Let's go back to doing math for a quick second. Let's say there's a room of 100 men and a room of 100 women. Which room would be scarier to walk in, just objectively speaking? Objectively speaking, the room with 100 men in it would be way scarier to walk into than the room with 100 women in it. So if hell is majority women, it sounds like it's gonna be kind of lit. Okay, sounds like a place where we might be able to make fireproof makeup. Because I've never walked into a room full of women and been like, this feels like hell. I've never done that. And I don't think anyone has ever walked into a room full of women and been like, this feels like hell. This feels like eternal punishment. And this is how I know that these stories are made up by men, because they couldn't even think past the initial point of being like, there's gonna be more women in hell. Okay, then we're gonna have more fun. Like, they couldn't think past the thought of each man gets 72 virgins. Because if Islam is truly supposed to be a timeless religion, then why didn't they know that 1500 years from the time that Islam was introduced, that would be a weird thing to say out loud. It's a weird thing to say that you get 72 virgins in heaven out loud. I don't know any normal, mentally stable, sane man who is enticed by the idea of 72 virgins. Like I said, if it's 72 freaks, things might change. But 72 virgins, why do you want it to hurt 72 times in a row? Only deranged, mentally ill, sick, pedophilic men are turned on by the thought of 72 virgins. That's how I know this hell and heaven bullshit is made up. It's fake. A man decided this is what I think would be enticing to men, and this is what I think would be scary to women, so let me write it down and say it to them, and the men will be able to use that as a one-up on the women, and the women will be able to use that to judge and subjugate themselves and each other. Because let's be honest, if you tell women that more women are gonna end up in hell than men, then women automatically feel like they have more to prove. They have a higher bar to achieve, they have something to work harder for, because they're doomed. They're doomed to hell. And this is, I can't stand these concepts. I cannot logically accept them as facts. These are fear-mongering tactics. These are scare tactics. These are control tactics. And the farther you step away from Islam and you just objectively perceive these things, you're like, wow, this is sick. This is a mental illness. Like, someone had to be truly mentally deranged to come up with this stuff, and you can't convince me otherwise. If you wanted to make hell sound scary, why would you say there's gonna be more women there than men? That doesn't sound scary at all. It sounds like it's gonna be a fun time. I'm telling you, it sounds like it would be lit. It sounds like it would be a party. If you wanted to make hell scary, you should have said there's gonna be ugly, scary looking men there. I would be terrified of going to a place where there's ugly, scary looking men. I'm just saying, it's not making sense.